when we look at knowing ourselves, which is where this all starts, you've got to figure out everything that you can find out about yourself. You think you know yourself, but if you're in an interview and the interviewer says, "Tell me the most significant thing you've ever done," how are you going to respond to that? The Myers-Briggs is a personality test, and it's extremely important because almost every company has started giving them. The Strong is going to give you an idea about what you might want to do with your life. It gives you a general picture of where your interests might be, and it'll rate them. It rates about 20 different interests. For your purposes, you take the top 3 or 4 and do your own assessment, see if that really does fit. MS is market strategy. You do have to develop a strategy. How are you going to market yourself? What's included in that? And the first thing that you're going to look at is, all right, what's the target market? Well, what is the target market? The target market is who do you want to work for? There's 3 really important things that you have to have just as minimums to get your career going. You got to know, have an idea about the industries that you would like to work in. You have to have an idea about the companies that you might like to work for. And you have to have a solid resume. And by solid resume, I don't want a resume that just describes jobs and the stuff that you did on the job. Resumes have to show that you have accomplished something. It's what we call the quantification effect. So, you determine the kind of industries that you want to look at. And guys, just because it's a company does not mean that you got to be a business major. Companies hire everybody. In our reference material and career services, we have directories of businesses for 40 major metropolitan areas in the United States, from Seattle, Washington to Miami, Florida. Okay? So, when I'm looking at the industries, I'm looking at the companies, that determines the target market. Now, let's get into what's called the marketing mix. And the marketing mix is the 4 P's, what are called the 4 P's. And I'm going to start with product. That's the most important of the 4 P's. They're not only, product is the most important. And you are the product. So whatever you think about yourself, you're the product. What are some of the things about me that employers will really want? So you convince me as the employer that you're worth the money, then you're going to do it. It always comes to how much you're going to pay. But you have to know what your bottom line is, because that's what you're not going to go below. Regardless of what they tell you, they're going to pay you. You are not going below that line. If they can't give you more than that, then it's been nice talking to you. But the issue is, how much will you work for, and here's how you determine that. How many of you keep a budget? You know how much it's going to cost you. You know what your car payments are. You know how much your rent's going to be. You know how much it's going to cost you to have a margarita machine. You've got an idea about what it costs you to do those things. And after you total up all of that, you may come up and say, good gosh, all that stuff's, that's $2,000 a month. Well, right off the bat, you know that you need at least $24,000 to live. But that's not part of it. Because the other part of it is Uncle Sam. What's that about? It's called income taxes. So if I tell you I'm going to pay you $24,000, and you say, well, that'll cover everything I need to have covered, you're only going to see 18 of that. So now you got to figure out, well, bottom line, you have a minimum price that you're not going to go for because you could not live. Next thing, you got to have a place that you want to work. Okay? Well, what does that mean? You have to have an idea about where you want to be. That is a deal breaker with employers. By deal breaker, I mean they will say, look, we want you to go to Enid, Oklahoma, and we want you to be the manager of one of our stores. So you may say, well, no thanks. You may say, well, no job. Now, do you have an idea about where you would like to work? You have to determine where you're willing to live and where you're willing not to go. This next one is the most difficult. It's the most difficult because, and I say it all the time, Stu, okay, I got to do a resume, and I already told you the number one mistake people make on their resumes, and that's just to tell them the job description. When I'm looking for a promotion for a person, then I'm looking for, tell me about you on your resume, tell me how you do a cover letter. That is, when you go to an employer, you've got to send them a letter and say, hey, I want to work for you. And a little deeper than that, but have you done that? Do you know what's involved? So all of these things, guys, will change as your life changes. But you have to have an idea for each one of those, wherever you are in your life. These are the 5 things you've got to worry about and make sure that you've got